didn't do much, but whatever.
Hi, welcome back to Launching Us. This is a podcast where we talk about us becoming small business owners and the journey it takes to get there. This is my lovely wife, Rose, and I'm Juan. And this is another episode 6.
Episode 6.
We have been doing this
for 6 weeks.
Yeah. So 6 weeks. That means it's been 6 weeks since you
left my job.
Left your job.
Yeah. Insane.
That's pretty nuts for us to think about that.
Yeah.
I'll take my watch off. It's beeping. So here's a question I wanted to kind of kick off things with is, what is your why? Like, I think it's so important to understand the why behind what we do. And so, like, I want to know, as Rose, as an individual, and us as a family, what is your why? Like, what's your big why?
I want to give as generously as my heart really wants to give.
Explain that. Explain what that means.
In the Bible, it talks about the Good Samaritan.
Yeah.
And I want to be that Samaritan. I want to be the kind of person that is always prepared to help someone else.
Yeah.
And always financially capable to help other people. I think that a lot of people talk about the Good Samaritan, or people have this perception about having money. But most of the people that I know who have a lot of money are very generous people.
Yeah.
And so I think that that inspires me. And that's my biggest why, is that generosity is one of my love languages. I love to give people gifts. I love to help people.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why I work. I want my kids to see the beauty in generosity. I want to help people who really need the help.
Mm-hmm. What would be your why then as like a family? Because I love what you're saying, to be very generous as an individual, like Rose as an individual, not Rose as the family member of us. Like Rose as the individual, you want to be very generous. And I do love that concept of the Good Samaritan. Like the Good Samaritan is only able to be a Good Samaritan because he had money to pay for a hotel. He had money to pay for the food. He had money to actually do something.
Yeah.
Not saying the other two guys that walked away didn't have the means to do anything. That's the whole concept of a Good Samaritan, is that he didn't just overstep and keep going. He had the means to do something, and he wanted to do something.
Yeah.
And so I think that's definitely who you are as an individual. But what about as a family? Like, what's our why as a family? What's something that we talk about as a couple, as a family? Like, this is the why behind what we're doing, by pursuing a business, by quitting jobs, by changing careers. What's our why as a family?
I think it goes back to the legacy of our last name. We want to leave something behind that is inspiring, that's encouraging, and that is sustainable for our family and the generations to come, right? We want to bless as many generations through our actions here on earth.
Yeah.
And that goes back to the legacy of our last name. Like, we're Lazos. And I want that to mean a lot to our kids.
Yeah.
And I want them to say, wow, my parents set us up good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not that they won't understand hard work and that they won't understand the
100%.
Yeah. I don't want to be like, oh, my kids are spoiled, they're going to get everything handed to. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the fact that my children will understand what it is to be generous, what it is to be responsible, and to have pride in their name.
Yeah, I think it's that concept of, I forget where we heard it from, where we learned it. It's probably Jerry Seinfeld, but he was talking about how his kids were asking, "So we're rich?" He goes, "I am."
I love Jerry Seinfeld.
Like, I just think, like, when in the future, when our kids are like, "Oh yeah, we're rich," I'm like, "No, mom and dad are rich. We worked hard for what we have, and you'll get an inheritance because you are children, but you're not rich." Like, you're gonna earn that, and you're gonna pursue that. Like, I don't want to just automatically make them think that they're rich.
Yeah.
I want them to know that there's hard work ahead of them as well, just like as we did. It's just gonna be not as hard to get it off the ground because mom and dad did a lot of work.
Yeah.
From the get-go.
I like the concept of what enriched dad, poor dad, how the rich dad, he passed on his company over to his son, and his son took it further than his dad could ever imagine. That's what I want, right?
Yeah.
That's what I envision. That our kids will take what we create in our lifetime and run with it and go further than we could have ever imagined with it. They will dream bigger than we could ever have dreamt for the things that we're doing.
I think we had this opportunity to work for this event where I work, and we were honoring the Seeley Foundation.
Yeah. I remember you talked about that in one of our podcasts.
The Seeley Foundation they have donated over $1 billion. It's literally when that day of, it was $1 billion they have donated to UTMB over their lifetime. Mm-hmm. And I just think like the dad who started that, I forget his first name, I just know his John Seeley and Rebecca Seeley were his children. I just remember I'm trying to get it right. He asked for a loan to start something off, I think it was. And it was like a small, like $70,000, nothing like too expensive. Well, in comparison to now. But he started something like that, and he started giving into that. And now look where it is. Now look what that hospital is doing. Now look what their legacy as a family has done. And I think about that like for us, for our family. I think that's why it's so important to understand our why, is because right now it's going to be a lot of work.
Absolutely.
Right now, it's a lot of work ahead of us. And if we don't understand the why behind what we're doing, we can get very easily discouraged. We can very easily back down.
I think that the why, just like you said, is really important on why we are chasing our dreams, on why we work the hours that we work, and the why behind everything and why we're pushing so hard.
Yeah. That why is definitely so important. Like, and because of that, because we have that why, because we have the dream that we want to achieve, there's a lot of work that goes behind that. It's just, I love the way you said it. There's a chase to that dream. There's a quote that I heard today, or was it yesterday? I forget when it was, but there was a quote I heard just recently, but it said, if you give up on your dream will give up on you. And I think that's such a powerful thought process, because we have to believe in our dream. We have to chase that dream. We have to want to get it. And as soon as we don't, our dream is just a dream. Like, it doesn't have the abilities to
come alive on
make
its own,
itself come alive. Like,
we have to work at it.
We have to work at it. And as soon as we give up on it, that dream will fade away.
Yeah.
You know, it's like if any one of you guys, or if any of us had like a childish fantasy or make-believe friend that we called, like Drop Dead Fred. Like, if you have a Drop Dead Fred and it's like, oh, that's my imaginary friend. When you get older and you stop paying attention to him, he's basically a memory. Like, he's gone.
Yeah.
This imaginary friend doesn't grow up with you. And it's kind of like that with like our dreams.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not chasing it, pursuing it, moving to it.
If you're not creating the business plan, if you're not creating actionable targets, if you're not looking like taking surveys of your local of what's happening locally, if you're not checking on your competitors, seeing what you're going to do and how you can do things differently so that you can stand out, if you're not looking at your weekly task list and your social media targeting, there's just so much complex things that go into building a business. And if you're not doing the work, then you're not chasing your dream accurately.
Yeah.
Let's be real. When you're talking about chasing your dream is much more detailed than just I'm dreaming of this.
I mean, you and I play this game almost at least every time or every other time we were driving. What if you won $1 million? What if you had $100 million? What are you going to do?
$1 million just didn't seem enough for me.
We had to kick it up to 100 million. Like, I don't know if you guys play this game, and if you do, you can relate to this. But like, we've done this multiple times in our marriage, in our lifetime, where we play, okay, if you got $1 million, what would you do? And we'll go through the list. Obviously, when we're going to tithe, we're going to give it to our church. We're going to give to different nonprofits. We're going to set something up for our kids. We're going to give anonymously to maybe a family member, or we're going to bless our mom. You know, there's the whole list that everyone goes through. But when you step out of that bubble of make-believe, and you actually start making strides to it, it makes it feel more alive,
more
it
real.
makes it feel
Yeah.
more real. Like you scrolling through Instagram and looking at $1 million homes, or you scrolling through whatever, or YouTube, and yeah, maybe someday I'll start a business, but man, I could do this. Home Dude's doing it on YouTube. And it makes it look so easy. Like, and we call that work. And that's not work. That's fantasizing. Doing what you just said, making a business plan, putting action steps, actually putting tangible things that you can hold measurably and accountability keep going.
Doing a SWOT plan analysis and then doing a TOTS. Guys, those are things that will tell you exactly what your weaknesses are, what your strengths are, what, all the things, and then analyzing those things and then putting them into action, combating, changing your behavior so that you can do things successfully and understand what you lack and where you need to fill in, right? These are all things of parts of being a business owner. And I think that when we're scrolling through Instagram, we can easily compare ourselves or think that, oh, that person's, just, working, or they're just social media. There's a lot of things that go behind that. Even with the photography business, we're having to evaluate again. Guess what? You're not going to be great at everything.
You're not right off the bat. Yeah, you're not.
You're not. Try everything. See what you're good at, and then start taking out the things that you say, I don't think this is worth my time and effort. Because let me tell you, the only thing that you have that is valuable is your time. And if you're wasting your time, then 100%, you're wasting money on the table right there and then.
So this is how she talks to me.
This is how
almost all the time. That's literally Rose, like business Rose popping out, and that's how she talks to me all the time.
Yes, I'm sorry, guys.
But like with this idea of like having under your why, understanding that we gotta chase our dreams.
Yeah.
So there's two things that I wrote down that I kind of want to focus on.
Y'all got hype Rose tonight.
Yeah, you got hype Rose. This is not smooth tea. This is energized tea. So the two things that I definitely wanted to focus on was, obviously we understand our why, our kids, our legacy, leaving generosity, that whole thing. Like those are our whys behind what we do. The dreams that we have is having a business, having a successful business, a profitable business, something that we can scale and multiply in multiple different areas. And so, but for all that to actually happen, I think these two things were very critical for us. And so one is we have to understand that it's going to take us working 16-hour days. It's going to take us working more after our regular job.
Absolutely.
Like I remember I heard this from talking to a friend of mine that I met in a grocery store. Like we were just in a grocery store, and he randomly talked to us, and it created some kind of cool friendship. And I remember him saying something. He's like, "Yeah, man, I build my future from 5 to midnight. Mm-hmm. I work my job from 9 to 5, and I build my future from 5 to midnight." And I was like, I've never heard that concept before. And I'm very fortunate. We don't stay in contact that much. And so like our friendship has kind of drift apart. But what he said that day had made a huge impact in my mindset. And so, and that just developed more and more and more as we grew and we read books and we started looking for different things. We actually started making steps towards the dream we want, is that this is going to take more from our time. So, and that's kind of the thought process that we have right now, is that from 8 to 5, we work our job. From 5 to midnight, we build our future.
Yeah.
And so there's something that I learned years ago, and it's definitely geared for the Bible more, or as like a church follower. It's definitely geared that way. But I also use it for my personal mindset, and I'll explain it this way. The quote is this: fear will paralyze you, but the fear of God will propel you.
Yeah.
And that's how I think about it. Sometimes we get so afraid of, oh, we got to work extra, or I'm never going to have fun on the weekends, or I got to do this. We have that fear of what this will cost, that we never really get to that moment of the fear of this allness, this, you're not like scared fear, but like this fear of allness. It's like when you're standing in front of the Grand Canyon and you're on the edge, you're like, oh my God, this is crazy, because you're seeing the vast openness. You see how powerful the Grand Canyon is.
And I would even say It's the fear of not doing it. What would it look like if you didn't do it? Would you just always have the regret? Would that regret weigh on you? What does that look like? Because I think of like, fear is one of those things that has literally paralyzed me for years.
Yeah.
I read books for years and I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to invest so badly. And I would do things with other people and I'd do research for other people. And then I'd say, one day I'm going to do that. One day I'm going to do that. Fear literally had me handicapped.
Yeah.
But you know what? What happened was that when I had to ask myself, I had to sit down and have that conversation with myself. One of the things that I asked myself is, if I don't do it now, will I ever do it? And it was no. If I didn't do it now, I was very comfortable. I was very happy where I was. I mean, like I wasn't ecstatic, but I loved what I did, right? Yeah. And I was like, okay, if I don't do it now, I'm never gonna do it.
Yeah.
And that was a scary thought to me.
Yeah.
That if I was giving up on a dream that I'd had my whole life just because I was too scared, I was cowardice to not do it. And I think that is really, I think what also when you're talking about what propels you to do it, like I think,
yeah,
I didn't want to cut myself short.
Yeah. I think that's why that quote means so much to me, because human fear will definitely paralyze you.
Yeah.
This idea of I'm too scared to do something, it would definitely paralyze you. And so for us, we had to realize if we're going to honor our why and we're going to continue to chase for that dream, we had to work 16-hour days.
Yeah.
That book you got me reading right now, Millionaire Mindset, I know, I'm finally reading it. But I was listening to it and it was talking about like, you had to understand that millionaires work 16-hour days. And he's like, are you willing to do that? Are you willing to work 16-hour days? And yeah, for the most part, I am. I'm willing to. Like, honestly, today's been a long day and we're here again recording. Like, episode 6, that's crazy. And every time we record these, it's been after we put our kids to bed. So that means we're supposed to be in bed, but yet we're still pushing because we want something more. We want desire. We want to give you guys good content to listen to.
Well, I think we're passionate about what we do.
Yeah.
We're passionate about what we do. We're pursuing it like if there is no other option, right? Not that we've burned our bridges. I mean, not in any way, but in the sense of like in our mind, there is no other option but to win in this area.
Yeah.
And I think that is a motivator.
Well, no, that's like a winner's mindset. I think for sure, that's a winner's mindset. And I think that's would be a great episode later, is like having that winner's mindset. So like there is no giving up. There is no retrieving back to whatever. There's none of that. I think a winner's mindset is there. I was listening to this quote from Kobe, and Kobe said he would sign a contract with himself before every season. And he said midway through the season, they're
basketball.
Definitely
Sorry. I was like, who's Kobe?
Kobe transcends just basketball. Kobe is a state of lifetime, my Mamba. And so but he talks about like he would sign a contract with himself on this is how I look this season. This is how my schedule's going to look. This is how my workout's going to look. And he said there are definitely times that I wanted to change that, but I was committed to my plan. And he's like, I wasn't going to negotiate my plan. This was my plan, and I'm sticking to it. And I think that's kind of like that mentality that, I mean, when people think about Kobe, they think about his mentality and who he was as an individual more than what he did on the court. And so like having that mindset is huge. I think that'd be a great episode. But first of all, like we had to understand like this work ethic that is going to take more than just anything. And so the next thing that I want to talk about was changing our perspective of the weekend. And this kind of goes on with this idea of working 16-hour days, is that some of us work Monday through Friday, dying to get to Friday. We dread Sunday night because I got to go back to work Monday. And then we're basically struggling Monday through Friday, and we're so excited for when Friday comes that it's like, oh yes, it's the weekend. And you got that R. Kelly song in your back of your head. It's the freaking weekend, baby. I'm about to have me. Like
some fun.
Yeah, everyone have a song for the weekend. I mean, every
Friday night.
Yes.
And I'm feeling
Keith Sweat.
I was gonna say NSYNC. That's NSYNC first album.
That was definitely not NSYNC. That was someone else. They stole it from someone. But nonetheless, we all have that mentality of the weekend's coming. I can't wait for the weekend. I'm doing this on the weekend. And I think for us, we have to get past that and go, the weekend is where we can build our future even more.
Yeah.
The weekend is where we can film weddings. The weekend is where we can book photo shoots. The weekend is where you can spend more time studying and getting things going. When you finally get your license, the weekend is where you can show houses, where you can do other things. I mean, there's so many things that we can do for the weekend, in the weekend, that it just makes it such a valuable time. And if we're wasting that time, that's almost kind of pushing our dream aside.
Yeah, and that goes back to like, there's two things that as business owners, everybody should know. Your time is extremely valuable. Your time is extremely valuable. Put a number price, a dollar amount next to your time. And if it doesn't exceed that amount, I'm sorry, I can't help you. That's that. The second thing that every business owner should know is that obscurity is your enemy. If people don't know who you are, they don't know about your business.
Yeah.
If they don't know your business, then you're not making money. So let's talk about that, right? Those are the two things. And your weekend should be really devoted to getting your name out there so you're not obscure, and making sure that your time is being filled with dollars. Why? Because that's how you're going to pay your rent.
Yeah,
that's how you're going to pay your mortgage.
That's how you're going to move out of that mortgage mindset or that poverty mindset. That's how you're going to move out of that pay to paycheck type of mentality or lifestyle. That's how you're going to build.
You're going to build.
I mean, that's how you're going to move to the dream that you want.
Absolutely.
The why behind what we do. And I think that's why we're talking about, like, it's so important to know the why behind what you do. It's so important to have that dream and the plans and the action steps to get to that. But the why behind what you do is so important because it motivates everything, especially when we start to get like, I mean, we would all love to like chill on a weekend.
Yeah. Oh my God, yes.
But we know our why. Mm-hmm. And our why behind what we do is so big for us. And our dream is so bigger than what we have now that it's like, we want that.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy is that when we started this, I feel like we were dreaming so small. And as time has gone on, I feel like you're dreaming more, I'm dreaming more. The business is starting to shift a little bit. It's like a moving thing. It's endlessly changing, and that's exciting. Yeah. And I think that when you're talking about working the weekends and you're talking about working after hours, creativity comes to you, right? And then there's that passion behind it. I feel like I've said this before on the podcast is that I'm working 16-hour days, 17-hour days. I don't feel it because I love what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I have an uncle who used to tease me because I love nonprofit work and I loved studying about real estate. I loved it. And he asked me one time, a question about work and it was about real estate. And I just started talking and I was talking and talking and talking. And I got really excited and I was just super passionate about it. And we're at the dinner table, we're just talking and he's just looking at me like, holy crap, you really love what you do and what you're doing. And I said, yeah, don't you love what you're doing? And he was like, no one I know loves what they're doing.
That's so sad.
And that's so sad to me.
Sad, yeah.
That is so sad to me. So why not spend your weekends chasing the dreams that you love, that are in your heart, that is that passion that is burning behind you.
Yeah.
Man, how amazing would it be that your kids are seeing you affected and seeing you change and grow because you're chasing something they love. Yeah. And imagine if they chased it because they saw you chasing what you love. I mean, that's insane.
It's good.
Like,
I mean, I think I heard. I think it was Gary V. I'm not a hugest fan of him, but he has some good knowledge and he drops every now and then. And he said that about someone. He's like, he heard someone complaining about their job, and he's like, "So what are you doing to change it?" "Oh, nothing. It's just my job. I've been there for like 10 years, so I'm just writing it out." And he's like, "Aren't you Isn't that miserable? Like, you have the power to change it."
Yeah.
You have after hours to change it. You have the weekend to change it. And he's big on that mentality of like people that waste their days working till the weekend. Like he has a big old thing on that. You can just Google it. I mean, YouTube it. You'll find it. But he talks about it, it's like you have all this time to change it. Either stop complaining or change it.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's such a really good thought process. And I think that's kind of where we kind of line into is that we had to like,
Stop complaining.
Stop complaining. Stop wishing for more. Stop playing the game of if we had $1 million, we probably won't ever stop that game. But stop fantasizing about it and actually start making that a reality.
Yeah.
Especially if you have a big why. Especially if you're looking for your children, or if you're a single mom right now and you just want more for your family. That's a huge why.
Yeah.
Like whatever your why is, whatever that is, it has to be big enough and powerful enough to motivate you to say, you know what, this dream I have, I'm going to actually start taking steps to it.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this because if I don't do it now, I might not ever do it.
Yeah.
And so the biggest thing that I just wanted to end with today was that when I think I do love basketball and I love sports. When I think about all those guys who finally get to the championship part, they finally get their trophy and they're hugging it, they're kissing it, they're taking it out, they're putting beer in there and they're drinking it, or they're putting cheesecake in the Stanley Cup and they eating
where
it.
They get the beer,
pour champagne
or
on
the
themselves.
I thought it was the Gatorade they pour.
Every sport has like their tradition on what they do and how they do it. But when they get to that moment, you could definitely tell it was worth it. It was 100% worth it to say maybe no to the way they eat, because boxers have to be underweight before they even enter the ring to fight. So there's a lot of things they're saying no to. There's a lot of things that they have to say no to with maybe the social circle, who they're hanging out with. Maybe they have to say no to family functions because they got to practice. There's a lot of things that you have to say no to. And if you're not willing to stand at the end and go, this was worth it, then like maybe your why and your dream isn't big enough. Because a lot of those things that you have to say no to,
dang, that was good.
They're gonna thank you. But you're gonna have to sacrifice. There's a lot of sacrifices that come.
Yeah.
And so like when you finally get to the end, make it worth it. Have such a big dream and chase after such a big dream that it's actually worth it. So when you get to the end and you finally have that championship, or your version of what a championship is, you can look back and say it was worth it.
Yeah. And in no way are we saying neglect your family, neglect your children. Not at all. There's a balance. But here's the thing. Here's the big thing, is that if you are saying no, I think we touched on this last week where we were talking about friendships, where if you're telling your friends, hey, we're working towards something really, really big right now, and we might not be able to hang out as much as we can, but know that I'm praying for you and I love you and I'm going to call you when I get a chance. Like,
yeah, make it effort.
Yeah, you make the effort. That's being intentional. But also remember that it's going to take work. And no is an acceptable answer.
Yeah.
And saying, hey, no, I'm so sorry. I have to study today.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest way that I thought about it, and I was thinking about it on my way home today, is that you're saying more intentional no's. They're not just no. Yeah. Just it's not, oh man, hey, so-and-so asked me to hang out. Let's just say no and say you're studying.
I remember when we first had the babies.
We did a lot when we had kids. We did that all the time when we had kids. Oh, man, you want to come hang out? Oh, no, man. Sophia
is sick. Has a runny nose.
Sophia is sick. I got to go home. Man,
John is colicky.
We're literally airing out the laws. If someone's like watching this and go, that's why they didn't want to hang out with me that year. Probably. I'm sorry, man. But no. But they're more intentional no's. They're not like, oh, I don't want to go to that thing. Or here's it. You're not saying no because you don't have the money for it. You know what I mean? Like that's happened several times where people are like, oh, hey, you want to go to the movies? Oh man, nah, I don't even want to see that movie. And you just don't have money in your bank account.
No, it's not those kind of no's.
It's not those type of no's. It's intentional no's. It's, hey, I can either work this weekend and make some money, or I can study this weekend and build something, or hey, I can build my strategy. I can go over my plan. I can do my reports. I can do all that stuff. And so I'm going to say no to you because I know I need to do this.
Yeah.
I pushed it off last weekend or pushed it off the weekend before. I need to say no to you so I can say yes to this.
Yeah.
And so having those intentional no's,
and truthfully, you shouldn't be pushing it off.
Yeah, you shouldn't be, but people do it all the time. And so like that's the idea, is like understanding that why, understanding your big dream, and being able to be okay with you're going to have to say no to some things.
Yeah.
You're 100% going to have to say no to some things. You're definitely going to have to push some things aside. You're probably going to have to stop playing PlayStation for a little bit. Maybe you should altogether, but that's just a personal goal.
You should stop Netflixing and Huluing seasons and seasons of shows that you've already seen.
Mm-hmm. Stop eating out. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can stop doing to start pursuing your dream. And sometimes
it's just changing habits.
Yeah, but it's so important to have that big why.
Yeah.
And understanding what that is. So like I encourage you, if you have a dream or if you have a thing, write down your big why. Understand what that why is. And if you don't have a clear why, then do it again. Because your why should be so clear that when anyone asks you, why are you doing this? You have an answer for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so,
thank you guys for watching. This was one of my favorite episodes. I kind of was a little hyped today, but it was worth it. You guys got a little bit of business rose.
Yeah, you got a little taste of what I listen to every day. So
thank you guys for watching with us today. Please like, subscribe, do all the things. And if we're trying to get to 100 subscribers, so if you know someone, send this video over to them. If you know that they're wanting to start their business or whatever it may be, send it to them. We hope that this might motivate them and help them.
And if you're watching, just hit subscribe. You're already there. Just click it. Done.
Bye, guys.
Have a good one.